Your body is about to face one of the most challenging environmental shifts it's ever experienced, and most people don't realize it's happening right now. If you're 50, 60, 70, or 80 years old, this is the most important health information you need to hear today. Hello everyone, I am Dr. William. I've been practicing medicine for 32 years, and for the last decade, I've focused on understanding how changing environmental temperatures affect aging bodies. I've worked in emergency rooms during record-breaking heat waves. I've cared for elderly patients in developing countries where temperatures soar beyond what many developed nations have experienced. I've trained doctors and nurses in recognizing heat-related health emergencies in older adults. Today, I want to share what I've learned with you, because what you're about to hear could literally save your life or someone you love. Scientists worldwide have studied temperature patterns for decades, and what they're telling us is very clear. Global temperatures are rising. The average global temperature is warming. The average global temperature is warming. Extreme heat events are increasing, heat waves are becoming more frequent, more intense, and lasting longer. Scientists aren't predicting exactly when and where extreme heat will occur in 2026. They're not making predictions about specific disasters on specific dates. What they're telling us is that the trend is clear. We're experiencing warming, and this creates conditions where extreme heat events are more likely. For younger people, this might mean discomfort. For older adults, this can mean serious health consequences. This can mean the difference between a normal summer and a life-threatening medical emergency. The reason older adults are so vulnerable to heat is actually quite fascinating from a medical perspective. When you're young, your body has sophisticated mechanisms for regulating temperature. When you get hot, your nervous system detects the temperature change almost immediately. Your brain sends signals to your skin to increase blood flow. Your sweat glands open up and produce sweat, which evaporates and cools you down. Your heart rate increases slightly to pump more blood to the skin. Your body's response is coordinated and efficient. It's almost automatic. But as you age, these temperature regulation mechanisms become less efficient. Changes don't happen as quickly or completely as they used to. Your sensation of temperature becomes less acute. You might not notice you're getting too hot as quickly. Your sweat glands don't respond as effectively. The amount of sweat you produce decreases. When you do sweat, it's less effective at cooling you down. Your cardiovascular system's response to heat stress also changes. Your heart doesn't increase its output as efficiently. Blood vessels in your skin don't dilate as much. Blood doesn't get to the surface as effectively to lose heat. Your kidney's ability to conserve water and electrolytes changes. You lose more fluid and electrolytes when you sweat, leading to dangerous imbalances. Your brain's ability to recognize heat stress and respond appropriately can be affected by aging and by certain medications. The result is that an older adult can overheat much more easily than a younger person. And overheating can progress to dangerous levels much more quickly without the person even realizing what's happening. I had a patient named Robert who was 78 years old. He was a retired teacher, still fairly active, no major health problems. He lived alone in a house with an air conditioner, but it broke during a heat wave. The outdoor temperature reached 119 degrees Fahrenheit. He called the repair company, but they couldn't get to him for 3 days. He thought he could manage. By the second day, he was confused. His daughter found him sitting in his living room, still wearing long pants and a shirt, not seeming to understand he needed to cool down. He was disoriented. His temperature was over 103 degrees. He had heat stroke. He ended up in the hospital for 4 days. He recovered, but it was a close call. He told me afterward that he didn't realize what was happening. He didn't understand his body wasn't cooling itself effectively. This is the danger of aging and heat. Serious medical problems can develop without you fully recognizing the danger. This is why I want to help you understand exactly what's happening in your body during heat, what warning signs to look for, and what you can do to protect yourself. Let me explain specifically how heat stress affects different systems in your body. Your heart is absolutely critical here. When it's hot, your cardiovascular system is under increased stress. Your heart has to work harder to pump blood to your skin so you can lose heat. For a young, healthy heart, this is fine. But if you have heart disease, a history of heart attack, arrhythmias, or heart failure, then heat can push your heart beyond its capacity. It can trigger an arrhythmia. It can trigger a heart attack. I've seen heat waves followed immediately by increased heart attacks in older patients with pre-existing heart disease. Your kidneys are also critically affected by heat stress. Your kidneys filter waste while conserving water and important electrolytes like sodium and potassium. When you're hot and sweating, you're losing significant amounts of water and electrolytes through your skin. Your kidneys have to work extra hard to maintain the right balance. If you're not drinking enough water, if your kidney function is already decreased because of age or disease, if you're on medications that affect kidney function or fluid balance, then heat stress can cause your kidneys to fail maintaining proper balance. You can develop dangerous electrolyte abnormalities. You can develop acute kidney injury. Your brain is also very sensitive to heat. When your body temperature rises above 103 degrees Fahrenheit, your brain function is directly affected. You become confused. You become disoriented. You might not recognize danger. You might not remember to drink water or cool down. I had a patient named Margaret who was 74 years old. During a heat wave, her temperature rose to 104 degrees. She became so confused that she put on more clothes instead of taking them off. She closed windows thinking that would keep heat out. She sat in the sun instead of getting into shade. Her confusion actually made her heat situation worse. Fortunately, her neighbor found her and got her to the hospital before anything catastrophic happened. Your blood pressure is also affected by heat. When it's hot, your blood vessels dilate to increase blood flow to the skin. This causes your blood pressure to drop. For many older adults, your normally high blood pressure drops during heat. While lower blood pressure might seem good, if it drops too far, it can cause dizziness, fainting, and falls. Falls are a major cause of injury and disability in older adults. A broken hip from a fall can change someone's life permanently. Heat-induced low blood pressure and subsequent falls are very real risks during heat waves. Your respiratory system is also affected. When it's hot, you breathe faster and more shallowly. Your oxygen requirements increase. For someone with COPD, asthma, or other respiratory conditions, this increased oxygen demand combined with heat stress can be problematic. I've seen older patients with respiratory disease end up in the hospital during heat waves because they couldn't get enough oxygen. Now let me talk about something really important, how medications interact with heat stress. If you're over 50 or 60 years old, you're probably taking one or more medications for chronic health conditions. Many affect how your body responds to heat. Diuretics, which are water pills that reduce blood pressure, increase the amount of water and electrolytes your body loses. When you're also sweating from heat, you're losing even more. The combination can lead to severe dehydration and electrolyte abnormalities. Some blood pressure medications affect your blood vessel function and your ability to dilate blood vessels in response to heat. Some psychiatric medications, some pain medications, some antihistamines affect sweating or temperature regulation. If you're on any medications, you need to think about how they might affect your heat tolerance. Talk to your doctor about this. I want to tell you about another patient because patient stories help us understand what's really at stake. Her name was Elena, and she was 81 years old. She lived alone in an apartment in an urban area. She had high blood pressure, which was controlled with a diuretic and another blood pressure medication. She had mild diabetes that she managed with diet. During a heat wave, her air conditioner stopped working. The temperature in her apartment reached 97 degrees Fahrenheit. She didn't want to bother anyone. She didn't want to stay with her daughter because she didn't want to be a burden. She tried to manage on her own. She was taking her medications as usual, including her diuretic. She was on a fixed income and was being careful with her water consumption because she was worried about the cost. Over 3 days, she became increasingly weak. She was dizzy. She fell in her bathroom and hurt her hip. Her daughter found her and took her to the hospital. She was severely dehydrated. Her electrolytes were dangerously imbalanced. She had acute kidney injury. She ended up needing to stay in the hospital for a week. Her hip fracture required surgery. Her recovery has been long and difficult. All of this started because she was managing heat without understanding the risks. Now let me talk about warning signs of heat-related illness because recognizing these signs early can be life-saving. The first stage of heat-related illness is heat exhaustion. The warning signs include feeling unusually tired or weak, feeling dizzy or lightheaded, experiencing a headache, feeling nauseous or actually vomiting, having cold or clammy skin even though you're hot, experiencing muscle cramps, and noticing that you haven't urinated for several hours or that your urine is very dark yellow. If you notice any of these signs in yourself or in an elderly person you're caring for, this is a warning that heat exhaustion is developing. This is the time to act. Get to a cool place, drink water, rest, remove excess clothing. You should get medical attention. Heat stroke is more dangerous. Heat stroke develops when heat exhaustion isn't recognized or isn't treated. The warning signs of heat stroke include confusion or difficulty thinking clearly, loss of consciousness or fainting, very high body temperature that you can feel is dangerous, no sweating or very little sweating even though you're hot, rapid heartbeat that's very noticeable, seizures, and severe behavior changes like becoming aggressive or uncooperative. If someone is experiencing heat stroke, this is a medical emergency. This is life-threatening. Call emergency services immediately. Get the person to a cool place. Try to cool them down with water. This requires immediate medical attention. The warning signs of heat-related illness can be subtle in older adults, and they can progress quickly. An older person might not have classic signs. They might not complain of feeling hot. They might not sweat much because their sweat glands aren't functioning as well. The first sign might be confusion or a fall or a change in behavior. If you're an older adult living alone, or if you're responsible for an older adult, you need to understand these signs and take them seriously. Now let me talk about specific groups of older adults who face even higher risk. If you live alone, you face higher risk because there's no one to notice if you're having problems. You need a system where someone checks on you during extreme heat. Daily phone calls can be life-saving. If you have a chronic disease, particularly heart disease, kidney disease, diabetes, or respiratory disease, you face higher risk. Heat stress makes managing these diseases harder. Your medications might not work as effectively in heat. Your disease itself might be triggered or worsened by heat stress. If you live in poverty and can't afford air conditioning, you face higher risk. If you're on a fixed income and worried about air conditioning costs, you face higher risk. If you have cognitive decline or dementia, you face higher risk because you might not recognize danger or remember to stay hydrated. If you're isolated and don't have strong social connections, you face higher risk because no one is checking on you. I also want to talk about what happens when babies and elderly people are in the same household during heat. Babies also cannot regulate temperature effectively. Babies have very limited ability to sweat. They can overheat very quickly. If you're an older adult babysitting grandchildren during a heat wave, you need to understand the risks to both yourself and the child. You both need to stay hydrated. You both need to stay cool. Monitor the baby's temperature if it's very hot. Dress the baby in light clothing. Make sure the baby is getting enough fluids. Be very careful during heat waves when you're responsible for a baby. Let me talk now about global heat patterns in 2026 and beyond. In the Middle East and North Africa, temperatures regularly exceed 110 degrees Fahrenheit in summer. In some places, temperatures exceed 120 degrees. For older adults in these regions, heat is a constant and serious threat. Communities have adapted with architectural designs that help keep buildings cool, with cultural practices of rest during the hottest part of the day, with public cooling centers. But even with these adaptations, heat-related illness in older adults is a significant cause of disability during summer months. In South Asia, particularly India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, temperatures can exceed 115 degrees Fahrenheit, often combined with high humidity. The combination of heat and humidity is particularly dangerous because humidity prevents sweat from evaporating efficiently, so your body can't cool itself. Older adults in these regions face extreme heat stress during summer months. In Europe, which many think of as cooler, heat waves are becoming more common and more intense. Southern Europe, the Mediterranean region, regularly experiences heat waves now. Air conditioning is less common in Europe than in some other regions, so older Europeans living in urban areas without air conditioning face significant risk during heat waves. In the United States, the Southwest faces the most intense heat, with temperatures regularly exceeding 115 degrees in places like Arizona, Nevada, and Southern California. The Southeast experiences heat combined with high humidity. The Midwest experiences heat waves during summer. Northern regions, which historically didn't experience extreme heat, are beginning to experience heat waves that weren't common before. Older adults across all regions face risk during heat waves. In Africa, particularly the Sahel region and East Africa, heat is extreme and often combined with drought. For older adults in these regions, managing heat while also dealing with water scarcity creates a crisis situation. China and other parts of East Asia experience intense heat during summer months. Southeast Asia is hot and humid. Australia experiences intense heat. Essentially, everywhere around the world, heat is becoming a significant health threat for older adults. The pattern is clear. Temperatures are rising. Extreme heat events are becoming more common. Older adults everywhere need to be aware and prepared. Now let me give you practical information about protecting yourself during heat. First, stay hydrated. This is the single most important thing. Don't wait until you're thirsty. By the time you feel thirsty, your body is already becoming dehydrated. Make a plan to drink water regularly throughout the day, especially during hot weather. Drink water even if you don't feel thirsty. A general guideline is that older adults should drink about 6 to 8 glasses of water daily in normal conditions, and more during hot weather. If you have heart failure or kidney disease, talk to your doctor about your specific situation. For most older adults, water is your best friend during heat. Second, make sure you have access to cooling. If you have air conditioning at home, use it. If you don't, make plans to spend time in cool places during the hottest part of the day. Libraries have air conditioning. Shopping malls have air conditioning. Community centers often have cooling centers during heat waves. Spend at least a few hours during the hottest part of the day in a cool place. This is not optional during extreme heat. This is essential. Third, dress appropriately. Wear light-colored clothing that reflects heat. Wear loose-fitting clothing that allows air circulation. Avoid heavy or dark-colored clothing. A light hat can help protect you if you have to be outside. Remove excess clothing. Be willing to wear less clothing than you normally would. Fourth, take cool baths or showers. This helps cool your body. You can also use cool compresses on your skin, particularly on your neck, armpits, and groin, where major blood vessels are close to the surface. Cooling in these areas is particularly effective. Fifth, modify your activities. Don't exercise during the hottest part of the day. If you exercise, do it early in the morning or in the evening when it's cooler. Avoid strenuous activity during extreme heat. Rest during the hottest hours. Sixth, check your medications. Talk to your doctor about how your medications might interact with heat. Ask if any make you more vulnerable to heat stress. Ask if you need to adjust how you take your medications during hot weather. Seventh, manage your chronic diseases carefully. If you have diabetes, monitor your blood sugar closely. If you have heart disease, be especially careful. Don't push yourself. If you have blood pressure issues, monitor your blood pressure if you can. If you have respiratory disease, be careful about exertion in heat. Eighth, make sure you have a support system. If you live alone, arrange for someone to check on you during heat waves. Daily phone calls are good, in-person checks are better. Know where you'll go if your home becomes dangerously hot. Have the phone number of emergency services saved. Ninth, stay informed about weather. Pay attention to weather forecasts. Understand when heat waves are predicted. Understand the heat index, which combines temperature and humidity. A heat index over 105 degrees is dangerous. Over 115 degrees is extremely dangerous. 10th, have a plan for power outages. If you have air conditioning, know what you'll do if power goes out. Have important phone numbers written down. Have flashlights and batteries. 11th, help older adults you know prepare for heat. Check on elderly neighbors. Make sure they understand the risks. Make sure they have access to water and cooling. Make sure they have transportation to cooling centers if needed. Make sure someone is checking on them during heat waves. 12th, don't be afraid to go to the hospital if you're experiencing signs of heat-related illness. Heat exhaustion and heat stroke are medical emergencies. Getting care quickly can be life-saving. I want to share one more patient story because it illustrates what's possible when we understand the risks and take action. Her name was Rose and she was 75 years old. She lived alone in a region that experiences significant heat during summer. She had high blood pressure and took medications that made her vulnerable to heat stress. She was on a fixed income, but she was proactive. She talked to her doctor about heat risks. She understood her medication's effects. She made a plan with her daughter to check on her daily during heat waves. She identified the nearest library as a cooling center and made sure she could get there. She invested in a good quality water bottle. When a heat wave came, she implemented her plan. She stayed hydrated. She spent time at the library during the hottest hours. She rested during the afternoon. She monitored herself for warning signs. She took her temperature if she felt unusual. When the heat wave passed, she was fine. She had managed it successfully. She told me that knowing the risks and having a plan made her feel less anxious and more in control. I want to end with something really important. I've spent this video talking about risks and warnings, but I want you to know something equally important. Knowing the risks empowers you. Understanding what can happen means you can take action to prevent it. Understanding warning signs means you can recognize problems early before they become emergencies. Having a plan means you can manage heat safely and protect yourself. I believe that older adults are some of the wisest people in our world. You've lived through decades of changes. You've adapted to many situations. You have the wisdom to understand these risks and take them seriously. You also have tremendous value in your families and communities. Your health matters. Your safety matters. You deserve to be protected and cared for. When you take care of your own health, when you take steps to protect yourself from heat, when you have conversations with your family and doctors about these risks, you're not just protecting yourself, you're modeling for younger generations that health awareness matters. To caregivers and family members watching this, checking on your elderly loved ones during heat waves is not an inconvenience. It's an act of profound love and protection. Making sure they have water, making sure they have access to cooling, checking on their state, these are the things that can save lives. To anyone experiencing financial hardship and worrying about cooling or water costs, I want you to know that resources are available. Many communities have free cooling centers during heat waves. Many utility companies have programs to help low-income seniors with cooling costs. Many community organizations distribute water and help with emergency preparedness. Reach out, ask for help. There is no shame in needing help. I'm Dr. William. I've dedicated my career to understanding how to help older adults stay healthy and safe as we age. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that awareness and preparation save lives. The information I've shared today is not meant to frighten you, it's meant to empower you. Rising heat is a reality we all face, but it's not a reality we face helplessly. You have knowledge, you have choices, you have agency in protecting your own health. As we move forward into 2026 and beyond, remember three things. First, your body is more vulnerable to heat than when you were younger, and that's okay. That's part of aging. Knowing this means you can protect yourself. Second, heat-related illness is preventable. Most heat-related emergencies don't have to happen. They happen when people don't understand the risks. You now have that information. Third, you are not alone. Millions of older adults around the world face the same challenges. Communities everywhere are working to protect vulnerable populations during heat. I encourage you to share this information with people you care about. Talk to your family, talk to your doctor, make a plan, prepare for heat before it arrives. Don't wait until an emergency to think about these things. Be proactive, be prepared, take care of yourself. Know that in doing so, you're honoring your own life and protecting your future. You deserve it. I'm Dr. William. Stay safe, stay cool, stay hydrated, and take care of yourself. Thank you.